Greetings, sir and sirettes, and welcome back to From the Depths with me, Lathrix, and of course, welcome to the Heretic's replacement, a brand new ship to replace a ship I'm honestly not very happy with. So as many of you have already noticed, there has been a severe lack of From the Depths videos on this channel, and the reason for that, and the reason for why we are replacing the Heretic are the exact same thing. I got bored of From the Depths. I became completely burnt out by it. I was no longer enjoying myself and putting the care needed into my designs and just into my overall gameplay, and thus I decided it was time to take a month off. Just a month to get back into the swing of things, to start enjoying it once more, and thus build things which actually work a lot better. So the thing with the Heretic was, honestly, it wasn't good enough. Although the ideas we did in the previous video certainly have helped me a lot in terms of learning the cram cannon and a lot of different armor techniques, the overall look of the Heretic and the overall functionality of it I was just not happy with. And so today we are replacing the Heretic with a brand new ship. This ship will be replacing it completely and utterly. The original Heretic will not be used in the slightest. Now, I'm not sure what to call this ship. I am somewhat tempted to simply call it Heretic and pretend the previous one didn't exist, but at the same time, I would like a different name, and I'm going to try and complete this ship as much as possible by the end of the episode. Anything I miss out, I'm going to be finishing off camera, and then next episode we will be in the campaign no matter what happens. So this time I've been a little bit more careful in actually segmenting the ship, so it will be a lot better defended, and all of the functional components will be in their own sections, a lot easier to manage, and hopefully a lot more effective. We even have an actual middle block this time, which will make building a lot easier. So, like the Heretic, this is going to be our battleship killer. This is going to be something which mostly goes after very large opponents with a lot of armor, possibly even shields. However, unlike the Heretic, it will be using a variety of weapons rather than simply focusing on cram cannons. It has the torpedoes on the side, just like the Heretic. It's going to have laser-guided missiles in this section here, and then it's going to have a cram cannon main cannon with multiple barrels in the middle, and then possibly a couple of small advanced cannons which will be firing armor-piercing rounds. As I have done a little bit of testing with that off camera on I was going to replace the Heretic by simply using the same hull, but I wasn't happy with it, and upon testing that, I found that Gatling guns with the advanced cannons, very fast fire rate, small rounds with extremely high armor piercing are really effective against battleships and even flyers, getting up to 1,000 meters per second, which is a little bit insane when you actually think about it. So let's continue, and I'll be right back once I've made some changes which are noteworthy. Oh, before I forget though, it should be mentioned, these are not going to be the finished engines. I'm going to have two engine sections here, and then I'm going to have two very small ones which are going to be tucked away just in this section here for the less efficient engines, with some of them being on in certain situations, some of them being off in others. I think it will also need an oil refinery. This way we can keep on going in battles without really the need to constantly refuel, as this thing is going to be very, very fuel hungry, as not only do I want shields, I want anti-missile lasers. Well, the overall shape of the ship is finally coming together, and as always, I have changed my mind completely several times whilst building this ship. The overall block count has been increased, as it normally does with my builds, and the functionality of some of the elements have also been massively changed. So, let's just get a brief summary of what's actually happened. First of all, and what I'm most proud of, is the two front cannons, or at least the two front turrets, both of them housing 3 cannons each. Now these are a massive improvement on the original Heretic cannons, as not only are they more powerful, they are obviously far more numerous and more compact. Each one of the firing pieces, and again there is 3 per turret as you can probably see by yourself, is almost as powerful as the entire Heretic turret. So almost 3 times as powerful per turret. Very, very happy with that. The major differences in terms of their functionality is that these are much faster at firing, in fact 3 times faster, but only do about 60% of the damage of the original Heretic shots, focusing more on sheer kinetic damage, a bit of armor piercing, and less so explosive damage. Since explosive damage has been nerfed over and over again recently, I'm trying to shy away from that a little bit, but I couldn't help myself in still making it the main element of the shells, so you're going to see a lot of explosions just doing less damage than you might imagine. On the side, I've added this quite weird sheet of armor, which I'm still working on heavily, still not 100% sure of its true functionality, which is hiding our torpedo systems. I was about to call them missiles and then remembered that would be incorrect. Or kind of correct, since it is from the custom missile system. Now these are going to be far more frequent than I originally intended and are going to run the entire section. So both of the sides of the ship will be covered in torpedoes, meaning we have a lot of firepower against those who are underneath the water. A lot of the submarines from the White Flyers and eventually subs from all different factions, as they are a lot more frequent than I seem to remember. In the centre is going to be our major change. Rather than sticking with our original design idea of having the command bridge, we are going to have one huge advanced cannon, which very likely will be a railgun, since that's been made a lot easier, or failing this, if I can simply not make a really good one, we will have an oversized Gatling gun, which will shred armor in seconds using very fast projectiles with a massive rate of fire and a massive value in terms of armor piercing, so that should be fun as well. In the back, we're going to add 2 more of the turrets like the front, although a little bit different. The one which is going to fit here will be exactly the same, and the one that's going to be fitting here may be a bit more related to artillery. Now, the turrets themselves do have an arc of fire of, I think, 240 degrees. I would have to swap modes to actually check that, so we can fire at targets which are quite far away and in the center of our view, so anything parallel to us will be able to be hit by all of our turrets, and of course the one on the top will have a 360 degree arc of fire. Overall, really happy with how this thing's turning out, but a few things I want to improve already, and a few ideas which I'm not quite sure how I'm going to go about working on them. So, be right back once more has happened. And remember, next time we will be having the fast forward segments and a little bit more happening. This is just to get everyone to know exactly what's going on with the series, hence the fact it is a half episode. I just thought that was worth mentioning again. It dawns on me, I never actually shown the power of these turrets, and as you can see, even with the changes to explosive damage and such, they are quite beastly, and firing a lot faster than the Heretic turrets for that matter. Say goodbye to that Marauder. And these are only 2 turrets of the minimum amount of turrets we're going to have, which is 5. Oh, and those are torpedoes. Torpedoes are cool as well. Do you know what's cooler than 2 turrets having 3 barrels each? 3 turrets having 3 barrels each. So the front section is going to be a little bit bigger than in the previous clip, but on the upside, it now kind of looks like a shark. And so begins the testing of the new Gatling cannon I've just installed. Well, considering how long range this is, that's actually doing really well in terms of accuracy. The shots, to be fair, are being fired at 1,000 meters per second, so that's hardly surprising. Not quite as much destruction as the turrets, of course, the explosive turrets, but these are doing internal damage, and these are going to gut any kind of light flyer, so I'm really happy with that. Although, something tells me the recoil may be a bit much right now. Just a bit. Tiniest little bit. Yep, that's... They're torpedoes. I just want to be a missile, that's all. Live your dream, sweet torpedoes! Live your dream! How are you still shooting? You've got to give the ship some props for pure determination. It's like it's just deleting blocks, one at a time. Definitely need to refine the gun a bit, but first test, I'm okay with that. Maybe next time I will add the fail-safes before firing. All of the turrets were hitting the armor, every last one of them. Well done, guys. Well done. The one problem I always seem to run into when using advanced cannons, even very powerful ones, is that they never look very intimidating unless you go overboard with the turret cap itself, which of course you can, but I find that quite boring if this is your barrel size. And then that's it, because of course this is speed of shots and sheer amount of shots rather than size of shots. But that looks terrible when it equates to the actual barrel size. So, what I think I'm going to do off camera after we finish the episode is I'm going to divide this turret into two, and then both of them will have their own firing piece right next to each other, so this looks like it's double the size, and then armor up around that, and that way it won't look quite so puny in comparison to the other turrets, even though honestly, this one is definitely going to do more damage, even if it's just because of the fact almost every shot will hit. I've also decided to test something out. I no longer have any limiters on how many times this can fire per second, and I'm not sure if this will cause a constant fire rate or just a block of shots. I like how it completely gave up on even making the noise then. That's kind of amazing. It definitely has a break period, but that's shooting over 2,300 times per second when it's actually firing. That's just awesome. Well, I think I might keep this Gatling gun, or the double Gatling gun in the future. I'm kind of mesmerized right now, I've got to be honest, just watching that. To even add more to the gun, it is actually mostly ignoring the shields because of the sheer armor penetrating ability. And of course the speed of the shots. It just melts. It's like using a laser, but with more DACA. And less pew pew. More DACA, less pew pew. Well, that's the video's description. I like how most of the shells are missing because the thing's floating up and down. Might need to change the custom cannons a little bit. I mean cram cannons, as they're now called. Also, I've just realised I don't actually have aim point selection on the turret, meaning it's not actually firing at vulnerable sections, just at the enemy's point of mass. Well done, turret. Well done. You eventually got there. The final positions for the guns has been sorted out, so we're going to have 3 of the normal cannons on the front, then somewhere in the centre we're going to have the Gatling gun. At the moment it's simply been placed there for the sake of being placed there. I'm not exactly sure where in this section it's going to go to be final, and then on the back we're going to have 2 more of the standard cannons. I was going to go for 3, but that would cause me to have to replace the engine positions quite desperately, and it would also mean I wouldn't have quite as much space for extra armour, for defensive systems, for possibly missile systems here and on the other side, and all sorts of stuff like that in that area. I've decided these are going to be used for our laser defense systems, not for the cruise missiles, as the cruise missiles will be used in the space I have on the side, somewhere around here, depending on where the Gatling gun goes, and like I mentioned, somewhere around here. That way we have even more variety in our weapons. So now we have torpedoes, we have a Gatling gun, and of course we have our cram cannons, which are the mainstay of this ship. And, as I mentioned before, we have a kind of shark mouth thing, which I'm really happy with for some reason. let's continue on. What I need to start doing now is getting the final shape together, so adding armor to all the gap spaces we have, so I know exactly what I'm doing, where I'm building things, and how I'm going to smooth it out next time to actually look a little bit smoother. I don't mind it being a bit blocky, because like I said, I am a little bit inspired by something like an ironclad, something very old-fashioned, metallic, and just rusted. Well, at least that's how I've got it in my head. Probably not so much rusted back when they were being used, or are being used, depending on your definitions there, but I like the rusted old industrial style of look. An upsetting thing I've just realised is that we could very easily make this section here a tiny little command centre facing backwards. Which makes some sense. I mean, in a ship, you don't actually need to see out of windows, honestly, with today's technology and such. But at the same time, having all the windows facing backwards seems a little odd to me, although very possible right now. So, will I end up caving and making this into our command area? I wouldn't really call it a bridge at this stage. Very possibly. And then have windows in all of these gaps. Oh, that would look really nice, though. Yep, okay, we're doing it. Not quite as completed as I would like, but I'm still really happy with how much progress has been made today. Most of the ship is actually complete. In terms of the inside, we have the ammunition storage sorted, we have the engines in 3 locations, and all of the weapons have their own little compartments, so that they're not taking up a massive quantity of the hull, despite the fact they are very big weapons. The one part I'm definitely not happy with, however, is the back of the ship. I'm not happy with how it looks, I'm not happy with how I have made all the different compartments, and so this entire section will be changed before the next episode. And in the next episode, we will be finishing off this very quickly in a few time lapses, and then we'll be getting back into the campaign to show the White Flyers our new ship. I'm not quite sure what to call this ship just yet, so of course, if you have any suggestions, then in the comment section is where you should put them. And with that, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, then of course, likes, favourites, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that From the Depths is a series you wish to see continued in the future. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. And yes, I am completely aware throughout most of this video I was butchering the word Gatling by calling it Gatling. Yay.